It was really difficult to get my footage out of Sierra Leone, but I managed, with the help of God, I would say, to get it out. What people are seeing now is exactly what I saw from the eye of the camera. It's not just a movie, it's real. It's what went on in Sierra Leone.
But politicians in Africa don't like people that criticize them. They want people that will sing for them to dance.
Sierra Leone used to be a paradise before the war because it was flowing with milk and honey. Everything was in abundance. Then all of a sudden, a blanket of darkness covered paradise. Up till now, paradise is still dark.
Sierra Leone used to be a very nice country. I remember when I was a small boy, my dad used to say, okay, I will go and buy this for me. Our economy was very strong, everything was okay, life was normal. And Sierra Leone, according to history, as one of the first universities in Africa. And so many African people used to go to Sierra Leone to get good education.
As early as 1983, I was employed in the Sierra Leone Broadcasting House. I was working in the engineering section. Then later, because of my performance, I was transferred to the program section. That's where I started handling the camera.
I became interested in politics when I was doing my sixth form at the Ahmadiyya Muslim Secondary School. My father was a politician. Politically at that time, there was one-party system.
It is difficult for the world to understand what happened in Sierra Leone civil war. The reason is that there were too many players, and because of that, the situation became complex. For Sierra Leoneans, it was easy to understand because they knew RUF, which is the Revolutionary United Front, and those were the rebels that started the war. They started it between the borders of Sierra Leone and Liberia.
People were just hearing about Sanko and his rebel activities, but this is the first time they are seeing first-hand information about what was going on. The footage was shown in the Sierra Leone Broadcasting House television back home, and it was shown locally in this local cinema up in the provinces because television cannot reach those areas. Sanko was targeting the grassroots people, the lower class people, because they believe he can easily convince them. Sanko was telling people that he has come to give Sierra Leoneans education, good medical facilities, build more schools and clean water, those kind of things. So the people believed him.
Power to the people, arms to the people, arms to the people, and
People thought Sanko was the right man by then. But it's like when he started his rebellion, started going the opposite, started killing innocent people, owning people's houses, looting houses, started doing things that people were not expecting him.
Tijan Kaba became president of Sierra Leone in 1996. He's the head of the SLPP parties. SLPP is the Sierra Leone People's Party. Tijan Kaba is an ambitious man because he was toppled twice and he fled into exile, and then he tried as much as possible to come back to pick up political power. And he did that not minding whether lives were lost or not. He has corrupt people in his government, but he has never clamped down on corruption. The only thing that really makes politicians in Sierra Leone to mellow down a bit, to cut down on their corruption and other activities, is the work of journalists.
During the course of the war, there were several newspapers, because people were eager to get information. And so newspapers sprung all over the place. I was looking out for newspapers that I think do portray what actually was happening on the ground. Newspapers that were not biased, or newspapers that were not already in the pockets of these politicians or the rebels, actually. And fortunately, I got to get one of these newspapers. The editor was Edison Young Guy. It was a very impressive newspaper, actually, because of the stories that were in. And I said to myself, when I read finished reading the newspaper, I said, oh, who is this journalist who is such a daredevil,
What I can remember really that made me to be in the bad books of the government was when I wrote an article about corruption in Tijan Kaba's government. I wrote several articles against the SLPP government, and all the articles were actual fact. They were done after thorough investigations. And when I wrote that article about the millions of dollars they spent within 100 days in power, they were so annoyed, and so they sent some plainclothes CID criminal investigations department men to arrest me in my office. They came in and they asked, who is Edison Young Guy here? So I said, it's me. I'm Edison Young Guy. And they said, we want you at the CID. I said, for what? They said, no, we're just going there, we're going to question you and we'll release you later. I wanted to put up a resistance because there was no warrant of arrest, but my reporter said, no, go with them. Because if it had been left to me alone, I would not have gone. They would have dragged out my dead body. I was taken to court. I was charged with seditious libel. In my country, that is next to treason. And treason always carries the death penalty. And then I was sent to Pademba Road. Pademba Road is the maximum prison in Sierra Leone. The LCLPP had already said that they will set an example on me. I will be an example for the other journalists to see so that they would not write anything adverse against them. That made me more resolved, because the thing is, they've already punished me. But I continued writing against anything that was not in the interest of Sierra Leone and its people.
The rebel attack areas that were more productive in terms of mineral resources, especially the diamond-ferrous area. And these areas are areas that are densely populated because diamond, it's you get rich quickly when you get diamonds. Today you are poor, tomorrow you'll be rich, And so people flocked actually to these areas. So when the rebels attacked, they too attacked these areas because they wanted to control these areas so that they would be able to finance the war.
1993 towards 1995, I was covering the war. One thing with military guys, to be given some publicity, they will start to pose for you to cover the activity, or because of the camera, they will want to be the first to get to some dangerous location so that they will be shown on TV or be in the camera. All of them were running to go into the forward position, and they will call you, "I'm here, come and film me," this kind of thing. So because of that, the camera helped to motivate them more and more to keep going forward. The rebels burned down a lot of houses, they loot things, you can see everything scattered all around the place, the entire village, and they adopt young boys and girls, women, those kind of things. Some people were explaining their ordeal that they were raped, badly beaten. It was widespread.
Waterloo refugee camp came about when the rebels attacked the provinces, because already Freetown was packed full. Government didn't want these people to come into Freetown proper. They decided to open this refugee camp in Waterloo. Most of the people that were in the camps were women and children. That was because most of the men, the able-bodied men, were abducted by the rebels or the government militia to fight in the war front.
It was on the radio that a lot of people were suffering in the camp, so I decided to go there and film. And when I get there, I realized indeed a lot of people were dying of starvation. There was no clean water, no food for them.
It was just this bulgur, which is sort of a maize, and it was really terrible for people to get, for their system to get used to that sort of thing. So there was people suffering from diarrhea and all that sort of thing.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All you card na your hand, none of them.
Now wait here.
The man got line.
Who's thing?
You don't chase more.
What's here?
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
Reach this now. I was working for Reuters news agency at the time. A bit was shown on CNN through Reuters, but it was just a few, about 2-minute clips was shown. So the message was not widely spread all over the world. The time we went for the peace accord in Abidjan, people were saying Sankor was no longer alive. I decided that's the first time we happened to set eyes on Sankor and most of the key players in the rebel movement, RF. So I covered Sankor. When we went for break, a lot of people were coming around to just come closer to Sankor. Then Sankor pushed them back. Sankor grabbed me by the hand and decided to have a snapshot with me. That picture almost gets me killed at a point in time. When I get back to Freetown, I put my material together, we show it on television. Then I was queried by the government saying I give more publicity to Fodi Sankor instead of the head of state. I was called upon to go and answer to the secretary to president. Then I told him I'm working with the president. If we need shot of the president, I've got so many shots of the president. And we've proved that Sankor is still alive, and that's why I give more coverage to Sankor.
After fighting for 5 years, we have to take great care. We are not a defeated army, so we have to take great care about that. And we consider it a very important issue. We have to sit down and think properly before we can get a proper settlement will lead us to a permanent ceasefire.
No, I don't think we want to push each other here. That's not the spirit. We do not want a situation arising later on that, oh, we were pushed into this, we were rushed into that. No, we don't want that. We want everybody to be relaxed and so that we do what is good for our country.
Sankor, he will tell you that he's not a Christian or Muslim, but he believes in God. I think he's not a God-fearing person, or he will not have commit those kind of atrocities to the people of Sierra Leone.
Bangba, genetic bangba, kerenke, bangba, genetic bangba, kerenke, bangba. Genetic bangba,
Closer towards the election, that's how the amputation started, and it was done by the RAF, because they started amputate people hands and limbs to frighten them.